Prime Minister Modi has arrived at New York. His flight has landed at New York. In fact, it's a matter of time where we may even get the visuals of him leaving the airport. I'm also being joined by my colleague Maha Siddiqui, who has been giving us all the details from the ground, from whatever is happening in US, and will continue to do so for the next 3 days. Maha, so Prime Minister Modi has landed at New York. You were mentioning around 45 minutes before he arrives or reaches the hotel where you are standing. Of course, a lot at stake also, Maha, because if you look at the geopolitical conditions or the environment in which this meeting is happening, there's a war going on that many in our generation would have never thought, and it's just an ongoing war. The repercussions are so much in terms of allies that may be close to US or to India. A lot really at stake even as this meeting does happen.
Well, that's absolutely right. And in fact, that question was asked by me to some of the sources as to whether the issue of Ukraine might come up, even though India and the US has in fact said that it has a better understanding of India's position vis-a-vis Russia. But will that matter come up again? Will the US continue to push India a little more as far as Russia is concerned? From what we understand is that as far as India is concerned, it's not in its talking points. However, it could probably be on the talking points of the US side, and one cannot definitely rule out that possibility. So as far as what my sources have told me is that India's reply is going to be the standard position that India has taken over the last 1 year. And that is that as far as the war is concerned, Prime Minister has already articulated himself to Vladimir Putin, the Russian president himself, that this is not an era of war, and that India certainly wants to play a more constructive role in being able to make any contribution in stopping this war. India's position as far as the war is concerned is very clear. As far as its relationship with Russia is concerned is also very clear, that Russia has been an old friend of India, an old ally, and that relationship will continue while India has already raised the issue of the war at the highest level with the Russian side. So yes, this is a very critical time at which this meeting is happening, and not just in view of Russia, but also, Sneha, the other aspect of China, the common threat of China, as I would put it, for both India and the US, especially in the Indo-Pacific. And that is why you see constantly the reference to the Indo-Pacific coming up in any statement by the Indian or the American side. Even as far as this meeting is concerned, when it was in fact announced by the White House that President Biden is inviting Prime Minister Modi for the state visit, there was a reference to Indo-Pacific, which clearly means that the two sides are looking at closer ties, forging better ties with an eye on China, even though they don't say it explicitly. And this is both in the sector of, for instance, defense, to better collaboration, as I was pointing out, even in the tech sector. After all, many believe under the space sector as well, that the modern warfare will be fought in space. Space has satellites, communication linkages, and modern warfare is about how you manage communication. If communication links are broken at a critical time, then an entire conflict can go from one side to another. That is the reason that India and the US are looking at further collaboration even in the space sector, where they are looking at ways and means to make it more secure, safe, and apart from that, technology cooperation as far as semiconductors are concerned is certainly going to be extremely important for both sides. The initiative has already been announced, one such initiative earlier this year. Closer ties on making the supply chain of semiconductors resilient is critical. Now, why? Let's try and understand that as well. What are semiconductors? These are nothing but small chips. That technology is used in the small chips that are used in almost everything around us, from household electronic goods to also our banking ATMs, cars, and technology around us and beyond us, and therefore it is critical that the supply chain remains resilient. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we had seen how the supply chain got disrupted, creating hurdles for the automobile sector. They are used in GPS navigation and a lot of other things in car manufacturing. Therefore, the two sides coming together for more packaging and manufacture of semiconductors is going to be one very important aspect. We are likely to see some big announcement related to that sector as well probably on the 22nd of June. So yes, in terms of geopolitics, as you asked, Sneha, both Russia and China become important from different perspectives. From the American side, maybe Russia; from both the American and the Indian side, China.